My chest felt tight, like I had swallowed something wrong. There was someone standing in front of my sister's door. Her door was cracked open maybe 3 inches. The person was angled toward the opening like he was looking inside. His right hand was down by his leg. There was something in it. It caught a tiny bit of light from my room. It was a knife. Okay, so this wasn't some dramatic smash the window kind of break-in. Nobody yelled. Nothing got stolen. I didn't even wake up while it was happening. Someone just came into my house in the middle of the night, walked around, and left. And I only know because of what I found the next morning. This was a couple years ago when I was living alone for the first time. Small duplex, cheap rent, nothing fancy, but it was mine. I'm not obsessive, but I'm consistent. I put my keys in the same bowl by the door every day, wallet on the kitchen counter, shoes lined up against the wall. I like knowing where my stuff is. I also always locked both locks before bed, deadbolt and handle. It was automatic. I'd check it even if I knew I'd already checked it. No roommates, no pets, no one with a spare key except the landlord. That's why this whole thing bothered me the way it did. The place was simple. Front door opened straight into the living room, kitchen right past that, short hallway to the bedroom and bathroom. From my bedroom, you couldn't see the front door, but you could hear it if it opened. At least I thought you could. That night was normal. I ate something easy, watched a show, scrolled for a bit, locked up, went to bed. Nothing weird. No strange cars outside, no random noises. If you had asked me the next morning how the night went, I would have said, fine. Slept great. The first thing I noticed when I woke up was the hallway light was on. I never leave the lights on. It bugs me. So I walked out, half asleep, ready to be annoyed at myself. Then I saw my keys. They weren't in the bowl. They were sitting on the kitchen table, not tossed there, placed there. That gave me pause. I stood there trying to retrace my steps. Did I sit at the table? Did I move them? I couldn't picture it. Then I looked at the front door. The deadbolt was unlocked. The handle lock was still locked. That combination didn't make sense to me. I always did both. At first, I tried to convince myself I just messed up. Maybe I got distracted. Maybe I was more tired than I thought. Then I noticed my wallet wasn't where it usually sits. That's when my stomach dropped a little. I checked the kitchen, bathroom, bedroom. It was on the coffee table. All my cash and cards were still there. Nothing missing, but it had clearly been moved. That's when I remembered I had a small camera pointed at the front door. I'd put it up months earlier after someone's car got broken into on the street. I honestly almost didn't check it. Part of me didn't want confirmation, but I opened the app and scrolled back through the night. And there it was, the door opening. Not forced, not kicked, just opening. A guy walked in like he'd done it before. Cap on, gloves, calm. He closed the door behind him and just stood there for a second, like he was listening. Then he walked into my living room, picked up my keys, turned the deadbolt, locked it, unlocked it, like he was testing it, went into the kitchen, opened my wallet, looked through it, didn't take anything. Then he walked toward the hallway. This is the part that stuck with me. He took a few steps down the hallway, toward my bedroom. You can see him pause in the footage, just standing there. If he had taken maybe 10 more steps, he would have been at my door. I was asleep right there. Instead, he just turned around, walked back to the front door, and left. No rush, no panic, just casual, like he was checking on something that belonged to him. I called the police. They came out, watched the footage, checked the locks. No damage anywhere. Later that day, my landlord admitted he hadn't rekeyed the place after the previous tenant moved out. He said he planned to. So technically, anyone who ever lived there could have still had a key. That made it feel less random, but not better, because it meant the guy didn't break in. He let himself in. Nothing else happened after that. No missing stuff, no repeat visits. I moved out not long after. What bothers me isn't that he came inside. It's that he didn't take anything. He just wanted to see if he could. I used to joke that I was too messy to get robbed. Like, if someone broke in, they'd take one look around and give up. That stopped being funny after the 3rd time someone came into my house. I live alone in a small, single-story house. Nothing fancy, but it's mine. I work long shifts, so I'm usually gone most of the day and home at night. I'm not organized at all. Chairs don't stay pushed in, laundry migrates from basket to couch, dishes sit in the sink longer than they should. If you walked into my place on a random Tuesday, you'd know immediately that one person lives there and she's tired most of the time. That's important, because when things started changing, it wasn't subtle. It wasn't, maybe I forgot. It was obvious. The front door opens into the living room. I have a big couch against one wall, a coffee table in front of it, and like you'd expect, a TV opposite the couch. The kitchen is open concept, separated by an island. A hallway runs off to the right with the bathroom and my bedroom at the end. There's also a back door off the kitchen that leads to a small fenced yard. I lock my doors, but I'm not obsessive about it. I double check most nights. The first time something happened, I thought it was my fault. I came home from work and opened the front door and just stopped. All my living room furniture was pushed into one corner. The couch, coffee table, side table, even the floor lamp. Stacked isn't the right word, but grouped tightly, like someone was clearing space. The rest of the living room was completely empty. For a few seconds, I genuinely thought I was in the wrong house. Nothing was broken, nothing was missing, just rearranged. I stood there trying to figure out if I'd done something impulsive before work. I hadn't. I don't have the energy to move a couch for fun. I walked through the rest of the house. The kitchen was the same, the bedroom untouched, back door locked, front door locked. That's when the uneasiness started. I checked every window for damage. Then I noticed the back door deadbolt was turned. It had been unlocked. That was the first solid thing that didn't make me feel insane. I called the police. They walked through but didn't find forced entry. One of them asked if I was sure someone else didn't have a spare key. This was a new rental, and I couldn't be 100% sure someone didn't keep a key. The next day, I changed all the locks. I told myself it was probably some weird misunderstanding, maybe a maintenance mix-up, even though no one admitted to entering. I moved the furniture back and tried to forget it. A couple weeks went by with no incident. Then one night I got home and the kitchen looked wrong. Every single item from my fridge was out. Milk, eggs, leftovers, condiments. All of it was arranged neatly across the kitchen island in rows. Not dumped, not scattered, lined up. The fridge itself was closed. I just stared at it. It would have taken time. It wasn't chaotic, it was methodical. I walked through the house again. Same as before. No broken windows, doors locked. This time I didn't hesitate. I checked the new locks first. No scratches, no damage. Then I noticed something small but real. The back door mat was moved, almost like it had been kicked out into the grass. Police came again, same result. No forced entry and no help. One officer suggested maybe someone had copied my key before I changed the locks and was messing with me. The next day I bought indoor cameras, 2 of them. One in the living room pointed toward the front door, one angled down the hallway. I set them up and left them running. Weeks passed and nothing happened. I started feeling ridiculous. Then one night I woke up to a soft thud. It wasn't loud, just weight shifting. I stayed still. I live alone. There shouldn't be weight shifting. I kept my breathing steady and listened. I heard it again. Slow footsteps that sounded like they were coming down the hallway. I didn't move. I didn't reach for my phone yet. I just listened. The hallway floorboards creak in specific spots. I know where. I heard those exact creaks. Someone was walking toward my bedroom. My door was closed, but not locked. The footsteps stopped outside it. Silence. I could see the bottom of my door from the bed. A thin strip of shadow under it. The shadow changed, like someone was standing there. My chest felt tight, but I stayed still. I don't know why. After a few seconds, the shadow shifted away, and the footsteps retreated down the hall. I waited until I heard movement in the living room. Then I grabbed my phone and opened the camera app. The live feed showed a man in my living room. He wasn't rushing, he was just pushing my couch slowly toward the corner, just like the first time. He moved the coffee table, adjusted it, and stepped back like he was evaluating it. Then he walked out of frame toward the kitchen. I called 911 while watching him on my screen. The police arrived quickly. On the camera, I saw him pause. He looked toward the hallway, toward me. Then he walked calmly to the front door and left. Officers searched the area but didn't find him. The footage was clear enough to show his build and clothing, but not his face. He'd kept his head angled down. No forced entry again. After reviewing everything, police found subtle tool marks near the back door strike plate. Someone had likely manipulated the latch without fully damaging it. That's how he'd been getting in. The first 2 times, I'd been gone, but the 3rd time, I was home. That didn't stop him from coming in. I moved out within a week. Nothing like it has happened since. What unsettles me isn't that he entered while I was asleep. It's that he didn't come straight to my room. He just stood at the door, then went back to the living room, like rearranging my house was part of it. If I hadn't installed those cameras, I might have never caught him. Instead, I know someone stood outside my bedroom door and chose to walk away. For whatever reason, I'm glad he didn't come into the room. Who knows how bad it could have been if he had. I was 12 when this happened, so if parts of it sound simple, that's because I was a kid trying to process something adult. I thought my sister was still awake. I opened my bedroom door to tell her to stop pacing. Instead, There was a dark silhouette standing in the hallway with a knife, looking into her room. I ran to my closet and hid. Then I watched my own door slowly open. I'm 20 now. This was 8 years ago. I've told this story a few times, mostly when people ask why I still lock my bedroom door, even in apartments on the 3rd floor. My sister was 19 then. She was home from community college for the summer and technically in charge while our parents were at a work conference 2 hours away. She took it seriously. She double-checked locks, made sure I brushed my teeth, that kind of thing. We weren't reckless kids. No parties, no sneaking out. That night was boring in a normal way. Pizza, a movie. She told me to get to bed around midnight because I had basketball camp the next morning. I'm explaining all this because there wasn't chaos leading up to it. It was quiet, predictable, which is why what happened felt so out of place. Our house was a basic 2-story rental. All the bedrooms were upstairs. When you got to the top of the stairs, there was a short hallway. My room was on the right. Hers was at the very end. The bathroom was between us on the left. The hallway light switch was right outside my door. If it was off, the hallway was basically dark except for whatever light leaked from underneath doors. That night, I went to my room around 12:10 a.m. I played a game on my phone for maybe 20 minutes, then put it down. I remember hearing my sister moving around in her room. Closet door sliding, maybe drawers opening, normal stuff. At some point, I thought I heard footsteps in the hallway. Slow ones. I assumed it was her checking if I was asleep because she did that sometimes. I texted her, "Go to bed." She didn't respond. After a minute, I got annoyed. I figured she was just standing there scrolling on her phone or something, and I didn't want her to barge in and catch me still awake. So I opened my door first. The hallway light was off. There was someone standing in front of my sister's door. At first, my brain tried to make it her. Same height, same general shape, but it wasn't right. The shoulders were broader. The stance was different. Still, too still. Her door was cracked open maybe 3 inches. The person was angled toward the opening like he was looking inside. His right hand was down by his leg. There was something in it. Long, metal. It caught a tiny bit of light from my room. It was a knife. I knew what that looked like even at 12. I didn't say anything. I just stepped back and eased my door shut without letting it click. My chest felt tight, like I had swallowed something wrong. I ran to my closet and pulled the door mostly closed, leaving a narrow gap. I crouched on the floor and tried to breathe quietly. I could see a thin slice of my bedroom and part of the hallway through the crack. My first thought was maybe my sister had invited someone over. That didn't make sense, but my brain wanted a normal explanation, so I called her. Her phone started ringing. From inside her room. It wasn't faint. It was clear, right behind her door. The figure in the hallway didn't move. The ringing went on for 4 or 5 seconds, then stopped. She didn't answer. A few seconds later, I heard her voice, muffled and confused. "Hello?" Not in the hallway. In her room. That's when it fully clicked that whoever was standing out there wasn't her and wasn't supposed to be there. My phone buzzed again almost immediately. A text from her. "Why are you calling me?" While I was staring at that message, my bedroom door shifted inward. Slowly. Like someone testing it. I watched it move. I hadn't locked it. The handle didn't rattle. It just opened carefully, a few inches at a time. That's when I knew this wasn't my imagination or some shadow trick. Doors don't open themselves like that. The door opened wider. I could see his arm first, dark sleeves. The knife was still in his hand. He stepped into my room. 1 step, pause. Another step. He stood there, just inside, like he was listening. I pressed myself flat against the closet wall. My legs were shaking so hard I thought the hangers would rattle. He walked toward my bed. I heard the mattress shift slightly, like he pressed down on it. Then he turned back toward the hallway. At that exact moment, my sister screamed. It wasn't a confused scream. It was sharp and loud and scared. He moved fast then. Footsteps down the hallway, heavy, no more careful walking. I heard her door slam into the wall. Something hit the floor, then pounding down the stairs. I stayed frozen for maybe 3 seconds. Then I ran to my bedroom door and locked it. Then I called 911. Police showed up quickly. Neighbors came outside. It was a blur. The back door downstairs had been forced. The wood near the latch was cracked, like it had been pried. My sister said she woke up because her phone rang. She saw her door slightly open and thought it was me messing with her. Then she saw a man's hand on the edge of the door, holding a knife. She screamed before he could step inside. Here's the part that still sticks with me. The officer checked our kitchen. One of the larger knives from the block was missing. They later found it in the grass behind our house. That meant he hadn't just brought it. He had walked into our kitchen first. They never identified him. No cameras, no clear prints. For a while, I told myself he probably thought the house was empty and panicked when he realized we were home. That's the version I prefer. But I opened my door because I thought my sister was awake in the hallway. If I hadn't done that, he would have gone into her room first. I don't think about it every day anymore, but I still lock my door.